Well, there are two lines from The Princess Bride that I love. The one that everyone is very familiar with is,
when audiences think of The Princess Bride, they remember a fairy tale filled with charm, romance, and humor. What they do not see is the chaos, danger, and emotional weight that shaped every scene behind the camera. The cast endured injuries, accidents, grief, and real fear, while hiding it all behind the story's lighthearted tone. Production was full of close calls that nearly ended careers, rewrites caused by hidden medical emergencies, and emotional moments that sprang from the private battles the actors carried. As we peel back the curtain, we uncover the stories the cast protected for decades. These are the revelations that reshape everything fans believed they knew about this classic adventure. Cary Elwes' near-career-ending accident destroyed the film's schedule. Cary Elwes was still early in filming when a single mistake nearly derailed the entire production. During a relaxed break on set, Andre the Giant invited him to try the all-terrain vehicle he used to move around because of his back pain. Cary agreed, assuming it would be simple. The moment he accelerated, the front wheel lifted and the vehicle slammed down directly onto his foot. The pain was immediate and overwhelming. He was rushed to the hospital where doctors confirmed fractures in his big toe. The injury was a serious problem. Cary appeared in almost every scene, and many required athletic movement. Instead of halting production, Rob Reiner and the crew quietly shifted the schedule, filming only close-ups or scenes that kept Cary seated or partially hidden. The cast later said they worked tirelessly to protect him. Because of careful camera angles, the audience never notices that Cary could barely put weight on his foot during many of his key scenes. Even the famous sword fight was filmed after the accident, with Cary masking the pain. Mandy Patinkin's most famous line came from real grief. Mandy Patinkin's performance as Inigo Montoya carries a depth that fans feel instantly, and much of it came from his personal grief. Before filming began, Mandy lost his father to cancer, an event that left a deep, lingering sadness. When he delivered the famous line, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die," he was not imagining a fictional villain. He was speaking to the illness that took his father away. Mandy later revealed that each repetition of the line brought up the same painful emotion, and he used it to fuel his performance. This gave the character's quest a sincerity that no amount of rehearsal could produce. Christopher Guest, who played Count Rugen, said he could feel the emotional intensity every time Mandy confronted him during filming. The final showdown between Inigo and Rugen became more than a scripted revenge scene. For Mandy, it symbolized a personal resolution, a moment where he felt he could strike back at something that had hurt him deeply. It remains one of the strongest examples of real grief embedded in a fantasy film performance. Billy Crystal ad-libbed so hard, he nearly sent Mandy Patinkin to the hospital. Billy Crystal's role as Miracle Max is remembered for its wild humor, but few viewers know that the laughter on set became physically dangerous for Mandy Patinkin. During earlier training, Mandy cracked his ribs while practicing swordplay. His doctor warned him to avoid sudden movement and laughter, both of which could worsen the injury. When Billy Crystal arrived and began improvising, Mandy had no chance of controlling his reactions. Billy created new jokes on every take, and Mandy's laughter turned into painful spasms. At one point, the pain became so sharp that filming had to stop. Crew members recalled Mandy clutching his ribs between takes while trying to stay composed. Rob Reiner also struggled to stay in the room. The director laughed so hard he had to step away to avoid ruining shots. Billy did not realize at first how much pain Mandy was in until he noticed the discomfort between takes. Despite the risk, the cast insisted on capturing the most natural reactions possible. The result is one of the funniest scenes in the film, powered in part by Mandy's genuine, uncontrollable responses. The six-fingered sword fight was filmed through real pain and hidden braces. The duel between Inigo Montoya and Count Rugen stands as one of the most memorable confrontations in film. Yet both actors endured significant pain during its filming. Mandy Patinkin was still recovering from his rib injury, which limited his range of motion and made deep breaths painful. Christopher Guest, meanwhile, struggled with wrist and elbow strain from the demanding rehearsals required to master the choreography. Swordmaster Bob Anderson insisted on absolute precision. He trained both actors for months to ensure every movement matched his standard. The intensity left Mandy with muscle spasms and forced Christopher to wear supportive braces under his costume. They hid their discomfort to maintain the elegance and flow of the duel. The hardest moment came during the sequence, where Inigo repeatedly thrusts forward. Each movement put pressure on Mandy's ribs, pushing him to his limit. Christopher also had difficulty reacting, without worsening his elbow strain. Despite the challenges, neither actor slowed down. Their determination turned the duel into a defining cinematic moment. Andre the Giant was in severe medical danger the entire shoot. Andre the Giant brought warmth and charm to Fezzik, but behind the scenes he was coping with intense physical pain. His acromegaly had advanced significantly by the time filming began, leaving him with back and joint issues so severe that even simple movements were difficult. Despite his size, he struggled to lift light objects, let alone a co-star. This created major challenges for scenes where Fezzik appears to carry Buttercup. Andre could not support Robin Wright's weight, so the crew used hidden platforms and wires to create the illusion of strength. Robin often stood on a raised structure, while Andre placed his hands in position for the shot. Outdoor scenes were especially difficult. Heat caused Andre's joints to swell, and the crew had to use large fans to keep him comfortable. During breaks, he rested in a specially constructed chair designed to support his back. Andre rarely complained. Cast members often said he maintained a positive attitude even when in obvious pain. His performance became one of the film's emotional anchors. Robin Wright and Cary Elwes' chemistry was real, and it complicated filming. Robin Wright and Cary Elwes had natural chemistry from the moment they met. Cast members have said the connection between them was instant. Their scenes together feel effortless because both actors admitted they were genuinely drawn to each other. Cary described Robin as one of the most beautiful people he had ever met. Robin said Cary had a natural charm that made every romantic scene feel authentic. Their connection helped the film, but it also created unexpected challenges. During emotional scenes, both actors sometimes became more focused on each other than the technical requirements of the shot. Rob Reiner later recalled that he occasionally had to remind them to match their marks. Their chemistry sometimes caused minor delays because the crew needed additional takes to maintain continuity. The famous "as you wish" moments carried real emotion because Cary was not simply delivering a line. He was reacting to someone he genuinely admired. Their closeness remained respectful and professional, but everyone on set could see the spark. Their bond gave the film its romantic soul. Audiences feel it because it was true. The cast has since said that the authenticity of Wesley and Buttercup's romance came from a connection that was never forced. Christopher Guest accidentally knocked Cary Elwes unconscious. One of the most shocking behind-the-scenes accidents occurred during the scene where Count Rugen knocks Wesley out with the hilt of his sword. The script called for Christopher Guest to swing close enough to create the illusion of impact without touching Cary Elwes. Cary encouraged him to swing a little closer to make it look more realistic. Christopher reluctantly agreed. During the take, Christopher misjudged the distance by a fraction of an inch. The sword hilt struck Cary on the head with unexpected force. Cary collapsed instantly. Crew members rushed in as Christopher froze in shock, believing he had seriously injured his co-star. Cary was taken to the hospital, where doctors confirmed he had suffered a mild concussion. The production quietly rearranged the schedule to allow Cary time to recover. The take that knocked him out was so convincing that Rob Reiner used it in the final cut. Fans who watch the film see Wesley fall perfectly in character, unaware that Cary was actually unconscious. Christopher Guest later said the accident haunted him for years. It became one of the rare moments in filmmaking where realism crossed into genuine danger. Wallace Shawn believed he would be fired every day. Wallace Shawn delivered one of the most memorable performances as Vizzini, but fans never realized he worked under constant fear. Wallace believed the studio wanted Danny DeVito for the role, and because Danny was more famous at the time, Wallace convinced himself he was only a temporary replacement. He later said that every morning he expected someone to approach him with news that Danny had become available. His anxiety was so intense that he rehearsed obsessively. Rob Reiner recalled Wallace arriving hours before his call time, worried he would make a mistake. During the famous Battle of Wits scene, Wallace believed his performance was too slow and demanded multiple takes, convinced the director was losing confidence in him. Despite his fear, Wallace's quirky energy became essential to the film. His high-pitched line deliveries and abrupt gestures were rooted in genuine nervousness, which gave Vizzini his frantic charm. Cary Elwes later said Wallace's insecurity unknowingly shaped one of the most iconic comedic villains in cinema. The irony is that the studio never planned to replace him. His fear existed only in his own mind. Yet that fear produced a performance fans treasure. Andre the Giant's famous fart stopped production for 17 seconds. One of the most unusual events on set became a legendary story the cast still laughs about. During a break in filming, Andre the Giant released a massive 40-decibel sound that echoed across the set. Cary Elwes described it as lasting almost 20 seconds. The blast was so loud that it halted production, silenced the entire crew, and caused Rob Reiner to double over laughing. The moment became known behind the scenes as the 17-second pause. Rob timed how long it took for the crew to regain composure. Accounts differ, but some say the combined sound and laughter stopped work for nearly a full minute. Andre, completely unfazed, reportedly looked up and asked, "Are you okay, boss?" in a calm voice. Despite the humor, it also reflected Andre's medical condition. His digestive system was affected by acromegaly, which made such events common. Yet this one became unforgettable because it happened during a tense shooting day. The sudden hilarity relieved stress and bonded the cast. The story remained mostly hidden from fans until Cary Elwes shared it in his memoir. It became one of the strangest and most beloved anecdotes from the entire production. The ROUS creatures were real people in suits with chaotic histories. The rodents of unusual size, or ROUS, terrified young viewers. But the truth behind them is even stranger. Instead of advanced animatronics, the creatures were men wearing heavy foam suits. These performers came from stunt backgrounds, and at least one had a history of legal trouble. Their unpredictable behavior made filming the fire swamp scenes incredibly challenging. Cary Elwes recalled that one ROUS performer disappeared during production because he had been arrested the night before. The crew was forced to improvise until he returned. The performers inside the suits could barely see. Their movements were clumsy and often dangerous. Wright described moments where the ROUS actors fell unexpectedly, knocking over props or rolling into her path. Because the suits were hot and poorly ventilated, the men overheated quickly. Fans never noticed how many breaks were needed between takes, simply to keep the performers hydrated and conscious. At one point, a ROUS actor collapsed inside his suit, causing a brief medical scare. The chaos behind these scenes made the creatures far more real than most viewers imagine. Their unpredictable movements added authenticity, but they came with constant risk. The fire swamp almost caused a real fire on set. The fire swamp sequence is one of the film's most iconic moments, but the behind-the-scenes story reveals how close the production came to a real disaster. The flames shooting from the ground were created using controlled gas bursts, timed to fire during specific camera cues. The system was reliable on paper, but unpredictable in practice. During one take, a flame cue triggered earlier than planned, while Wright and Cary Elwes were still in the danger zone. Crew members shouted for them to freeze in place as technicians scrambled to shut down the gas line. Rob Reiner later admitted the moment terrified him. The actors were only a few steps from the ignition point. If they had continued walking, the flame tower could have struck them directly. After the near accident, the crew adjusted the timing system and increased safety checks. But Robin recalled still feeling uneasy during later takes. She trusted Cary, who physically guided her through the choreographed steps. Despite the risks, the fire swamp sequence became a highlight of the film. The tension audiences feel comes partly from the fact that the actors were navigating a set that was more dangerous than anyone realized. The Cliffs of Insanity were filmed under life-threatening winds. The dramatic shots of the Cliffs of Insanity combined studio work with real footage captured at the Cliffs of Moher in Ireland. When the crew arrived, they discovered the wind conditions were far more severe than expected. Cast and crew members described gusts strong enough to disrupt camera equipment and knock people off balance. Several technicians had to secure themselves using ropes, and gear was tied down to prevent it from toppling over the edge. Cary Elwes recalled that standing near the cliff's edge felt genuinely dangerous. The wind pushed so hard against the actors that maintaining balance became a physical challenge. The crew shortened filming periods to prevent accidents and held long discussions about whether to move the shoot entirely. Rob Reiner insisted on capturing at least some real footage to preserve the location's scale. The shots of Buttercup and her kidnappers looking out over the cliffs were enhanced with careful camera placement to hide the difficult conditions. For safety, Robin Wright was kept farther from the edge than it appears in the final film. Despite the challenges, the footage gave the film one of its grandest visual moments. Sword training took much longer and was far more intense than fans know. The sword fighting in The Princess Bride is often praised as one of the best in movie history. To achieve this, Cary Elwes and Mandy Patinkin trained for months with legendary swordmaster Bob Anderson. What fans do not realize is that the training extended far beyond the film's original schedule. Both actors spent hours each day learning real fencing techniques. Bob Anderson demanded accuracy in every movement, insisting they learn the fundamentals of Olympic-level footwork. Cary and Mandy became so committed that they trained even during lunch breaks. Their rehearsals were filmed and reviewed daily, allowing Anderson to refine their techniques. The actors later joked that they spent more time with their swords than with their families during production. The famous duel at the Cliffs of Insanity required choreography so complex that it took nearly a week to shoot. The actors performed every move themselves, with stunt doubles used only for flips. The dedication shows in the final result. The duel has been studied in film schools as an example of how practical training can elevate action. This commitment to authenticity helped create one of the most memorable sword fights ever filmed. William Goldman interrupted scenes because he could not stop crying. William Goldman, author of the original novel and screenwriter for the film, visited the set frequently. Rob Reiner encouraged him to observe scenes, but no one expected how emotional the experience would become. Goldman became overwhelmed during filming and would sometimes burst into tears in the middle of takes. He loved the story deeply, and seeing the cast bring his words to life moved him more than he anticipated. During the fire swamp scene, Goldman became so emotional that he accidentally interrupted filming by shouting, "She is on fire!" when Robin Wright's dress caught a spark. The reaction caused confusion before crew members confirmed it was part of the controlled effect. Goldman apologized repeatedly, embarrassed but still teary-eyed. His emotional outbursts happened several times throughout production. Cast members later said they felt honored to witness how much the story meant to him. Rob Reiner viewed Goldman's reactions as proof that the film was capturing the spirit of the book exactly as intended. Goldman's deep connection to the material added a unique layer of passion behind the scenes, even if it occasionally stopped filming. Fred Savage filmed his entire role while sick. Fred Savage, who played the young boy in the framing scenes, was dealing with illness throughout filming. The production worked around his condition by shooting short segments and allowing him to rest frequently between takes. Rob Reiner later explained that children's work hours are strictly limited, and Fred's illness made the schedule even tighter. Despite his discomfort, Fred delivered a performance filled with believable frustration, curiosity, and reluctant interest in the story his grandfather reads to him. His hoarse voice in some scenes is not acting, but a result of his cold. The crew adjusted lighting and camera angles to conceal signs of fatigue. Rob Reiner also took extra care to keep Fred calm. Knowing the boy did not feel well, he used lighthearted humor and gentle direction to maintain Fred's energy during close-ups. Cary Elwes later revealed that the entire cast tried to make Fred laugh off camera to keep his spirits up. Fans watching the film see a healthy and expressive child delivering memorable reactions. What they do not see is a young actor pushing through illness with the help of a supportive cast and crew who made sure his performance remained strong. The Miracle Max scene originally had a completely different ending. The Miracle Max sequence is one of the film's most beloved moments, but the ending audiences know today was not the one originally planned. William Goldman's script included an extended outro, in which Miracle Max and Valerie continue arguing long after Wesley has been revived. The scene was meant to end with a joke that directly mocked Wesley's condition. However, Billy Crystal and Carol Kane felt the scripted ending did not match the rhythm they had created through improvisation. Rob Reiner agreed. The energy in the room came from spontaneous humor that could not be duplicated. Billy delivered so many improvised lines that the scripted ending felt stiff in comparison. During early rehearsals, Billy suggested a shorter exit that focused on Max's triumph and Valerie's enthusiastic approval. The new ending allowed the scene to wrap with momentum rather than lingering too long on dialogue that did not land. Goldman approved the change, and the scene was ultimately trimmed to preserve the comedic flow. The version fans know exists because the cast trusted their instincts. Their rewrite improved the timing and left audiences wanting more. Robin Wright fainted during filming, and the footage was almost used. During the scene in which Buttercup confronts Humperdinck about Wesley, Robin Wright fainted from dehydration. The set was hot, and she had been wearing a heavy gown under strong lights. In the middle of a take, she swayed, lost balance, and dropped out of frame. Cary Elwes rushed toward her as crew members intervened. Robin recovered quickly, but the fall was startling. Rob Reiner later admitted the moment was so natural that he briefly considered using the footage as part of the character's emotional collapse. Ultimately, he decided against it because the fall had not been choreographed and could have injured her. The crew increased her water breaks after the incident and adjusted lighting to reduce heat. Robin has spoken about the fainting spell in interviews, saying she pushed herself harder than she should have. Despite the scare, the moment created a sense of camaraderie on set. The cast became more protective of her during later scenes, especially those filmed outdoors or under intense lighting. Most fans never realized how physically taxing the role became for her, or how close the production came to leaving an unplanned accident in the film. Andre the Giant could not hold Robin Wright at all. One of the most surprising secrets behind The Princess Bride is that Andre the Giant could not physically hold Robin Wright during filming. Despite his enormous size, Andre's acromegaly had weakened his spine. Lifting even light weight caused sharp pain. This became a major issue for scenes where Fezzik carries Buttercup. Instead of relying on Andre's strength, the crew used hidden platforms and wires to create the illusion. In the scene where Buttercup jumps into Fezzik's arms, Robin is not actually being held. She is supported by a hydraulic platform hidden behind Andre. The platform lifted her into the correct position, while Andre simply steadied her shoulders. Another scene used a disguised stunt rig that allowed Robin to lean forward without putting weight on Andre. Cary Elwes said Andre was embarrassed at first, believing he was letting the crew down. The cast reassured him that his presence and performance mattered more than physical strength. The solutions worked so well that fans never suspected a trick. The fact that Andre appears strong and graceful on screen, despite being in pain, shows how committed he was to delivering a joyful performance. Many of the funniest moments were the result of accidents and improvisation. A surprising number of comedic moments in The Princess Bride were improvised. Rob Reiner encouraged actors to explore their characters in the moment, which led to spontaneous lines that became iconic. In the Pit of Despair scene, the albino's sudden shift from croaky voice to normal speech was not scripted. Actor Mel Smith changed his delivery as a joke, and Rob kept it. Cary Elwes also contributed improvised humor. When Wesley rolls down the hill shouting, "As you wish," Cary extended the yell longer than planned, causing Robin Wright to genuinely laugh. The reaction felt real, so it stayed in the film. Billy Crystal, of course, improvised nearly every line in the Miracle Max sequence. His ad-libs created an entirely new comedic tone in the film. Even Wallace Shawn's frantic responses were rooted in real anxiety rather than scripted exaggeration. These unscripted touches helped shape the film's unique humor. Instead of relying on precise timing, the cast embraced natural reactions. That spontaneity became a defining part of the movie's charm. A quiet feud between two cast members nearly split the ensemble. During production, a subtle tension developed between two cast members. While the specifics have never been fully publicized out of respect for privacy, Cary Elwes and Rob Reiner both confirmed that not everyone got along. The issue stemmed from personality differences rather than professional behavior. One actor preferred long, serious preparation, while the other relied on spontaneity. Their conflicting methods led to disagreements about timing and rehearsal. The tension grew enough that crew members noticed. Rob Reiner stepped in privately to resolve the issue and reminded both individuals of the collaborative spirit the film required. The disagreement never escalated into open conflict, but the strain briefly affected group scenes. Cary later said the cast was grateful the issue was addressed early before it disrupted the film. While the names remain undisclosed, the production's ability to maintain harmony is credited to its leadership. Despite the momentary friction, the ensemble delivered performances that feel unified and genuine. The film was considered a failure before becoming a cultural classic. When The Princess Bride premiered in 1987, the studio struggled to market it. Executives did not know whether to promote it as a comedy, a romance, a fantasy adventure, or a children's film. This confusion resulted in a weak advertising campaign. Box office numbers were underwhelming, and the film was considered a modest disappointment. The cast later said they felt the studio had abandoned the project. Cary Elwes recalled how frustrating it was to watch a film they loved fail to find an audience. However, the movie began gaining traction through home video and cable television. Word of mouth grew steadily as families discovered its humor and heart. Within a few years, The Princess Bride transformed from an overlooked release into a fan favorite. College campuses began screening it, and its quotable lines spread across pop culture. Today, it is regarded as one of the most beloved films of the 1980s. Its journey from near failure to cultural triumph mirrors the perseverance of the cast and crew who believed in it from the start. The Princess Bride endures because it was shaped not only by imagination, but by the real experiences of the people who made it. Behind every moment of wonder were actors working through pain, fear, illness, and unexpected accidents. Yet through all the challenges, the cast believed in the story and in each other. Their commitment turned a troubled production into a timeless film that audiences continue to treasure. What fans see on screen is joy, adventure, and effortless charm. What happened behind the camera was far more human. The triumph of The Princess Bride lies in the fact that everyone involved gave more than the film ever asked for, and their devotion lives on in every scene.